I'm saying otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's it for our poll. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through all programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Friday, because the weekend begins tonight at a second after midnight.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Traffic-wise, just Rivulet Road in Couva. I was down that road this week. Wow. And getting in the capital. That's it. I have no traffic ready to tell you about. Little volume here and there, but nothing Richie Rich.
Well, that's great news.
Yeah, I'm watching the cameras by Caroni there. Oh my God, it's absolutely clear. Yeah, more cars heading south than north. Of course, that accident that was southbound by Caroni yesterday. Sadly, the young chap lost his life in that accident. So be safe, folks. Be safe. I see it's raining by Caroni. The roads are wet by Caroni. It's still raining by you, Rich. Like the little rain is coming.
No. There was a downpour that I was surprised you weren't hearing it.
No, I didn't.
That downpour has stopped and it's sun, and you could see blue sky now. So obviously, it was a very angry passing cloud.
Yeah.
A moody passing cloud.
We usually call those passing clouds Richards.
So, one thing I ain't is moody. But anyway, just getting back to this Burna Boy concept, because I didn't even know all of this back about?
I haven't read that.
I didn't even know all of this back when I was taking place, and I'm surprised Paul didn't know about it. But apparently, Cash Money Promotions, which I indicated was represented by Marika Trim and Farai Hove Masaisai. On Wednesday, Trim wrote to Sean Moses of SM Promotions, calling on him to stop all plans and confirm the arrangements for Friday's concert carded for the O2 Park in Chagaramas. Trim also asked for compensation for every cent spent by Cash Money Promotions in preparation for bringing the African Giant to Trinidad. Moses was given until 2 p.m. on Thursday to respond. Trim said Cash Money Promotions, Michael Durham, entered a contract with Burna Boy to perform at the Hazley Crawford Stadium on December 16th. This changed after it was agreed the Mini would perform at the Queen's Park Savannah on Saturday. The North Park of the Savannah was then booked by Durham on October 21st. Trim alleged that sometime later, Durham shared certain information with other investors, including Moses, Osita Uger of Duke Concepts, Crystal Cunningham of Twisted Entertainment, Barbados, and Jules Sobian of Caesar's Army, with the intention of the various outfits collaborating for the show. The attorney said some of the information provided included the artist's rider, the contract, approval for the stadium and Savannah venues, stage designs, proposed sponsors, and the budget for the event, among other things. The letter said Durham contacted the artist's agent ready to make a deposit for the show and payment towards a private jet when he was told the contract was voided because he didn't come through on the original agreement and kept renegotiating. Trim alleged there was a conspiracy that led to Damini being booked by the others, although tickets were already sold by Cash Money Promotions. The letter also said Durham has suffered losses both financially and to his reputation in the industry locally. Additionally, monies were spent by our client in anticipation of hosting the concert pursuant to the signed agreement to secure Burna Boy. The letter detailed the specific allegations leveled against the others by Durham. Similar legal letters were sent to the others setting out the same allegations. The Grammy Award-winning Afro-fusion stars Love the Mini Tour will see the artist performing in Antigua and Jamaica this month, as well as Trinidad. He performed in Tobago just before the island's first carnival in October. So that article made me even more confused because they were saying that the concert was initially for the Hazley Crawford Stadium. Then it moves to the Queen's Park Savannah.
It seemed confused from the very start. I gave Steve a number to call for somebody who's involved, so hopefully we could talk to Christy Ramnarine.
Yeah, and then somebody else now is saying no, it's in the same article. It's saying no, the concert is in O2 Park.
Well, it's been moved to O2 Park now, but the problem is that there's so many different promoting outfits involved collectively that there clearly is no disagreement on how it should go forward. But the other people are going to buy money because he don't play that.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be tomorrow night.
Yes.
The 16th.
Yes.
I'll be in my bed.
Well, I don't know where I'll be, but I certainly
You
won't.
sure your bed, Paul?
Need to mind your business. Worry about your bed.
Exactly.
I didn't get the video. I'll try something else.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you could, I'll send you Crystal's number. But I'm not surprised. It's a confusing promotion to start with. I found. And it never bodes well for a concert when there's this kind of discord.
No,
you know,
no, it makes for
send a poor message to the people who would have wanted to pay at the door and going.
Yeah,
that,
yeah. The optics are terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as organized as it should or could be. So, but there we go, and it's just happening. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. This is been a boy who was in Tobago a couple of weeks ago, anyway. So. For Tobago Carnival. Speaking of Tobago, I see Denise Soyafat Angus was on afternoon power drive yesterday. She said there should not be a knee-jerk reaction to the development in the PDP and the THA. She says a proper assessment of the PDP scenario is needed. Interesting. I think that probably doesn't make up in my I'll be going with that already. Or Mr. Augustine, sorry. And he's going to stay there for the next 3 years, see what he could do. And I saw an article yesterday that says he said it quoted him as saying no new party will be formed. I don't know how true it is, but that's what the report said in the newspaper. So I guess they're staying as independents. And we'll see how that works out in 2022, 26. Is it?
What did you?
Or 25. They have 3 more years.
They have 3 more years, yes.
So 2025 into 2026. So they have 2 elections in that year. A national election. When is the national? 24 or 25?
25 too, I think.
25. There we go. Mm-hmm. They will have to try to make good on their mandate. And as we said before, there's no legal challenge to them being there. Otherwise, we have seen one raise already. All right. We were talking earlier on before you came on about the testimony of Swan Wewo, and who is one of the engineers at Paria, and Mr. Piper, who were part of the team that made the decision not to mount a rescue.
Yeah, I saw part of his testimony yesterday in news where he was talking. Yeah, where he was talking about the dangerousness of the situation in their assessment. In their assessment, let me put it that
as
way.
I said earlier on, the issue that even the chairman Jerome Lynch asked her, if it were your family member, would you make that decision? Was profound to me. Would you have made that decision if you were a family member? Which spoke to his, it's like, you're crazy. But even the most remote chance of someone being able to survive, and the fact that absolutely, which is one fact that came out of this so far, no rescue attempt was mounted. That is one fact that has not been disputed, which is astounding to me, as I said earlier on. With the most remote chance that someone, 2, all could have been alive, that a decision was made not to even attempt a rescue is astounding to me, disturbing. Quite disturbing.
Yeah, it makes for difficult and
It's just difficult to swallow.
yeah, it's and sometimes I try to be objective in the sense of you are technical people and you have this decision to make about people's lives. And I'm not saying that it wasn't difficult for them. It has to have been difficult for them.
Yes.
Has to
But
have been
that's why you get paid the big bucks. But in every rescue situation, particularly in the energy sector, there is going to be risk involved. Yes, they do a risk of assessment to see if you could lose more lives. But in any, I'm probably an unfair comparison. Think of the people caught in caves, people stuck in mine shafts. The people going in are risking their lives to save others.
Mm-hmm.
A rescue effort almost invariably has a risk component to those who are attempting the risk. Firemen running into a building to save somebody have lost their lives because there's a risk involved in going, but you don't leave the person there without even an attempt to save. So precious is life considered.
Somebody said they're playing God.
Well, I didn't want to go down that road. I understand that sentiment, but on the remotest chance, the most remote chance that someone could be alive in there, someone is in there clinging to life, saying, "Oh God, they're coming for me." You understand? And nobody even tries to come to save me. Think of how a family member feels. Hearing that no one went to save my family member. A decision was made where they're too risky. So we won't even try. They wouldn't elect me as a witness in that place, no? I just can't, as you said, technical decisions were made, not human decisions. And yes, it's difficult, but that's the situation because you're in the energy sector, the oil industry, and it is a dangerous sector. And the fact that the question was asked of the woman, did Paria have a Delta P contingency plan? It wasn't contemplated. And then Jerome Lynch interjected, "Do you have one now?" No, we still don't have one.
A what contingency plan?
There is no Delta P intervention plan to date.
Right.
February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, December. 9 months after, a particular novel circumstance occurred that cost lives, and you still don't have a plan to deal with such a similar circumstance occurring. Really? So it can't happen again. That way you're saying it's impossible for it to happen again. And if it happens again next week, God forbid, you still do not have a plan. I mean, I'm confused.
Pure incompetence.
Who running this company?
Pure incompetence.
So are you suggesting as a company that it's impossible for this to happen again? That you don't need a plan for an even remotely similar circumstance occurring? God forbid. Oh boy.
Well, on some good news, I just noticed a letter to the editor about the Arima Hospital. And I know a lot of times we showcase or talk about the failings of the health system. But this is some good news. And so I just wanted to read a bit of the letter. So it starts with, when my doctor told me to go to the hospital after a medical examination of my chest and lungs, I thought to myself, go to a hospital in Trinidad? She might as well have told me to jump off the Twin Towers. I made my peace with God just in case and went to the Arima District Hospital. As I entered the compound, I can tell you in advance that the external beauty of this structure is no match for the beauty of the workers inside. The wheelchair operator came to collect me from my car, and I told her This is my first time here. She assured me you will get the best treatment here. Boy, was she right. The staff worked on me immediately and tried to regularize my situation. There was order, compassion, gentleness, thorough questioning by Dr. Malu, who then informed me of his plan of action for my recovery. Various tests were done and the results noted on my file that very same night. Over the next 7 days of my being warded, I observed no overworked nurses, no overcrowded wards, no one was sitting on the floor waiting a bed, no hoggish, abrasive, or hostile behavior toward patients. The gentleness of the nurses was enough to start your healing process. There was politeness, courtesy, and respect for all. Everyone was willing to assist. Doctors Ali, Marsang, Badal, Samaru, Sanchez, and many others, thank you very much. Dr. Wills, your graciousness, gentleness, patientness in answering my questions all helped to expedite my healing. To nurses Massey, Holloway, Philip, and all those who cared for me, thank you very much. You are all gems and displayed the ideals of the very first nurse, Florence Nightingale. I commend the administration of this hospital. Special thanks to the Chief of Staff, who operated with such humility that no one could easily identify your lofty rank. One day, the chief came into the ward and saw that a bed was soiled. The chief immediately got that issue dealt with. In my faith, we are taught, if you want to be great in God's kingdom, learn to be a servant of all. I close with a bit of cynicism. Another patient told me, this will not last very long. The politicians will soon interfere and spoil everything. I hope she's wrong. Otherwise, we will be back to square one. That's from Ruth Samaru from Aruka.
That is excellent. That's so wonderful to hear. Thank you for taking time to write that, Ruth. And what hospital was that? The Arima Hospital?
Arima Hospital, yeah.
And I'm glad the newspaper, it's a newspaper publication, right?
It's a newspaper,
letter to the editor.
It's in the newspaper, letter to the editor. That's great. I'm glad they published it. I'm really glad they published it because the experience I had with my mother in Mount Hope was excellent, except for one nurse. One in her 7-day stay, 3 years ago. I mean, and it wasn't me. I don't think it was because of me, because I saw other patients receiving very, very compassionate and excellent care. It's just this one hoggish woman who didn't know how to talk to nobody. And this is 1 out of about 15. So I commended them also.
Yeah.
So there are good stories coming out of the healthcare sector. And that is clearly one. And the numbers are
222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, you know what to do, so do it. So yeah, so 222-TALK, 222-8255. We can take some of your calls at this point.
All right, so let's do that. And of course, your messages on our message board. That rain was short-lived, Richard. It was pouring and carrying a while ago and brilliant sunshine now.
Mm-hmm. It was raining in the east area this morning, but clearly the sun is out in full force, which is great.
Yes,
I think people who experienced flooding 3 weeks ago want to go through that again in a hurry.
Oh gosh, no. All right. Claire coming in Port of Spain until mid-morning. I'm sure it's going to get busy.
Yesterday, I spent an hour and a half, actually an hour and 45 minutes, trying to get from Long Circular to Abercrombie Street.
Yep.
At 12 noon.
Yep.
It was, I don't know what was happening. It was that bad.
Yeah, I left the office just to go to TTSPCA. I took 10 minutes to go. I said, right, I stayed 5 minutes in TTSPCA and it took me 45 minutes to come back.
Yeah, it is really disgusting.
I said,
I was
what
not as bad
is
today.
going on here? We have some calls. Good morning. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Paul. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself? Season's greetings.
Not bad at all. Same to you. I heard you speaking to something this morning, and I don't know if it was related to the incident, the video that is out with the police. I heard you speaking to if you slap a police officer or spit on a police officer, it may cause a certain reaction. And I totally agree with you. But was that relating to the incident with the police, where the police take the child from the man and stuff like that?
That and the one I saw last week regarding the woman who was pushing her hand in the officer's face and stuff like that. Both videos I saw.
That one was clear. I mean, I saw that one, and I found, you see, you have all the time you have videos on different spectrums of the scale. When the police should take action, you see them not taking action. I don't know if it's because it's a woman. I don't know if it's because they're being recorded. I don't know what. But then you have other incidents where last week there was one where a police in a situation with a man, they searched the man didn't have nothing. But the man gave you a small talk now, whatever the thing, now you choose to push the man by the neck and slap him and do all this kind of thing that police are doing. And there was no need for that. Words are win. You remember when we used to grow up, we used to be told words are win by our parents? In order to not get into incidents and fight.
While I agree words are wind, I am not ever going to condone people being disrespectful to police officers. And likewise, I'm not going to condone police officers being disrespectful to people.
Okay. And when you approach me, first of all, your first approach is, hey, come here.
And that's why I said I'm also not going to condone police officers being disrespectful to people.
Correct. And you only do that with a certain demographic of people. You see the fella in a three-quarter pants, a white big vest.
And you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
Because they do not do it for Caucasian or other persons of other ethnicities.
Correct.
That I have seen, and I will say it plainly.
Correct.
It's primarily inner city use.
This is what they are saying too. Why did they say you disrespected me? Because they don't see it.
When you're going Bayshore Towers, you're not doing that. You ain't bowling, hey, come.
Exactly.
You're saying good afternoon. How are you today?
Exactly. So just like everything else with public service, with the service in this country, we just know how to operate when we're dealing with whoever we're dealing with. You understand? So, but that video, I don't know what caused it. I don't know if, as you say, somebody slapped the police first, somebody spit on the police first, whatever. If that was the case, then I could understand the police reaction. However, if that did not happen with prior, police, once again, I have to accuse them of using excessive force. Right?
I do agree with excessive force unless it's absolutely necessary. And excessive suggests it's excessive. It's not warranted. It's not appropriate to the situation. That's what excessive force means.
So what I saw,
so there's appropriate force and there's de-escalation, but there's also excessive force. And excessive force means you went beyond and above. Correct.
From what I saw, a man is we have handcuffs and you're pushing him on a vehicle. That is excessive. You're slamming him.
Slamming a man into a vehicle face first is excessive force to me.
Correct. I'm glad we can agree on that. Right? Slapping a man repeatedly and he is not slapping you back. You're not in a fight. You're not in an altercation.
Well, that is aimed at humiliation and subjugation. That is not to me an appropriate tactic to subdue someone who may be resisting arrest.
Until we get the authorities, until we get the Superintendent Alexander and the Commissioner of Police denouncing and these kind of actions, it will continue to happen. But
the Commissioner well, you don't know how somebody will react in a situation, but today that's what
yes. We don't know what happened before the video hole, and we are always using
that is not before the video hole. There's a training that's supposed to go into subduing people in an appropriate manner.
I mean, that's why we need to have these conversations to bring it that we know what's happening, and
the conversations are not going to change anything unless the police service wants to change itself.
Mm-hmm. And no, unless the police service because the police has do what it's allowed to do, you know, unless they are given guidelines by the law enforcers, by the lawmakers, by the politicians, unless they are given
guidelines. The guidelines are in the Constitution and the police regulations.
Well, then
the is holding them accountable with consequences. The guidelines are already in statute.
Correct. You're right. You're probably right. No, you are right. Right? So I just wanted to bring that up to the front, but to clarify that, you know, this incident didn't have anything to do with what you were speaking about, right? But I understand now. Thank you very much for allowing me a time.
All right. Have a good day. Be safe.
Yeah.
All right. 222-8255-612-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099. I did get on to someone regarding the both numbers that you sent me, Paul, but they said the legal team is dealing with it and don't want to say anything. But did give me some insight, and I was like, what?
Whoever. I could care less, quite frankly. Nothing to do with me.
It's a bacchanal.
Giving them the opportunity to clarify the situation.
Bacchanal.
If they don't want to clarify, that's fine too.
Yeah, it's a
maybe it's unclarifiable, if that's a word.
It could be, from what I heard. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, yeah. Not there. All right. So 222-8255-612-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. 10 days to Christmas. I'm just saying. Paul, you coming in today, right?
Yes, sir.
I have presents here for you from our listeners.
Okay.
Oliver and Riri.
Yes,
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yeah.
Morning.
Good morning,
Good
guys.
morning.
Yeah, this is Sonny San Fernando. I just given a take on my experience in 2017. I had an incident in work when I lifted up something heavy, got a hernia. It was the size of a grapefruit. I went to San Fernando General, saw the doctors there. They told me, well, it was an emergency. They would have to do a surgery, and they gave me a date of 8 months. So I said, Doc, you just tell me it's an emergency, but you tell me 8 months from now.
It can be an emergency response.
So I'm walking out now, and the doctor said, well, if you come at, I don't want to call the institution, I don't want to give you all in trouble. If you come at this medical institution,
and pay your money.
Monday, I said, well, how much it will cost? Thinking it might cost a couple thousand, $25,000. I said, Doc, I don't have that kind of money on hand to pay that. He said, well,
You got to wait 8 months then.
8 months. So, well, you know, I travel for my work. So about 2 or 3 days after, it was a Thursday. I remember it being a Thursday. Well, he took his fingers, the one in San Fernando, and he pushed back the bowel because the bowel is protruding out. I went to, it happened again. I was in Port of Spain. I went to Mount Hope and pretended like it just happened. You know, I got the operation on Monday from the city.
Yeah, because he wanted to make some money.
Hey, that's a norm.
I got the operation the Monday. They sent me. They took a thing. Go upstairs. Check this. And the same test I did in San Fernando, they did it the same day. Call me back. I think they called me the Friday and told me, asked me if I can come early the Monday. All the slots are full, but if anybody comes late or doesn't show up, you will get their spot. Bam. I got the operation 2 days after.
Yeah, that happens.
That's a great story also.
That happens.
Yeah, and watch me, I got excellent treatment at Mount Hope. Excellent.
Yeah, that's very good to hear also.
Yeah, but you see that San Fernando General? I ain't going there for nothing.
It all depends on who is managing the facility, you know.
All of them drive Mercedes-Benz SUV. If you go
working in the public sector and the private practice too. That's part of the problem that should have been stopped years ago.
And they all have shares in that same medical.
Yeah. So they make the public sector hospitals in some circumstances that stress some inefficient, so that they can get patients referred to their private thing. And they had a history in some instances, I stress some, of thief and all the equipment and the pharmaceuticals too.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've heard stories about that.
They were caught red-handed and nothing happened.
Yeah. All right, Sonny. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
There's a saying, right, Paul? There's a saying that a lawyer who represents himself is representing a fool. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Lawyers generally don't represent themselves. I personally think that the line of questioning in that Paria inquiry yesterday, where they asked I think they asked don't know the person's name, but they asked them if things would have been different if it was your family inside of there. I thought that was a bit disingenuous. That line of questioning shouldn't have been allowed, because in those kind of situations, you don't want to have somebody, if your family member is inside of there, you don't want to be the person calling the shots. And the reason why I say that is because if you put yourself in there, I've put myself in their situation. It's no, they didn't have training, they didn't have a contingency. That is, you can't dispute, that's just what it was. So the little bit of research that they would have done would have shown them that these kind of situations generally is not, the survivability of it is not high. Once it occurs, people generally die. I mean, it's not something that...
Not high and impossible are two different things. You're a statistician.
But that is true, but I'll tell you this, right?
Not high is not 100%. If they say it's 100% impossible, I could understand that. But they said it's not high. As scientists, you know that.
So the issue is this, right? Do you want to be the person that has, this is what I understand, right? So when you would have looked at the divers, the cave divers, and the football team in Thailand who was trapped for a couple of weeks, I mean, they had the best equipment, the best diving people in the world. People came from all over. And in the midst of that entire operation, 2 people still died, right? 2 of the divers still died. So there's a very real possibility that you could have had further casualties.
And in every rescue situation, there is risk involved.
So that I think is the
Does that mean in every rescue situation we should say nobody should go into rescue?
Well, I like I said, I think the issue really is if you look back now and you know now what you know with respect to the conditions and the conditions and the conditions on the in the pipe and all these things that we know now, it makes a rescue attempt. I will say that for sure. But on the day itself, when this thing is actually unfolding, and you had that cloud of uncertainty and they didn't know anything, this seems to me to be, a decision that somebody has to make. Because you don't want to send more people inside of there in a situation you don't. So this, I'm just saying,
Can I ask a question? Based on what you heard so far, do you think Paris seemed ready for an emergency?
No, that's obvious.
No further questions, Your Honor.
It's obvious they didn't have anything. But I'm just saying that particular questioning, that line of questioning, if it was your family, if you were to act differently, I think that was my point. That question, that was unfair.
Because he was upset. It's not absent of emotion,
Yeah, but they shouldn't. I don't know if the defense is whoever is inside of there to protect, but that line of questioning, you shouldn't put people. I just read a report and they said that I think it was a lady was asked that question and she broke down and she started to cry. And I think that even doctors, medical doctors, it's unethical for a doctor to treat his family, right? I'm not talking about but this is like in the U.S. I know. It's unethical for you to begin to develop a treatment plan for your family because you can make emotive decisions and you can get emotional and you could do things that could harm your patient. So they generally say you get somebody else. Even yourself, you don't treat yourself. And there are reasons for these things in professions.
I think the statement was aimed at saying every life should be treated as if it's your own family member. That's the sentiment I got. And he didn't get a sense that the lives were treated, which could be unfair, with the kind of reverence they should have been under the circumstances, based on what we've heard so far.
And the little snippets I've been getting from this commission of inquiry, I really wonder if some of those questions would be different if this were closed in camera, right? And not a public thing, and it's being transmitted and, it's being...
a lot of them performing, Prakash, they're performing for the camera. There's a whole performance Prakash doing for the camera.
It's unfortunate, but this is not a takeaway from, the real seriousness of the issue. And as you say, the lack of preparation on the part of Paria, the lack of preparation on the part of those diving people, even the Coast Guard, the the breakdown in the whole structure and the way you respond to things and that kind of thing, that somebody could just say, well, the Coast Guard, because they say so and so, and then, Coast Guard saying that they didn't say that. I mean, it's a real, mess, as it were, but those Delta P situations, if you don't know what's going on, the best thing is not to, wait until the pressure equalizes. That's generally what, as far as I could tell, that's the remedy, or I should say the remedy, but that's the protocol then, because you really can't save people in a situation like that. If it have that, if the pressure differential is still there, there's very little you can do until that equalizes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Guy.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about the Delta P situations and what the technical aspect of that is. So everything that I listen to in that sense, beyond looking at it from a legal perspective, the issue of what is the common sense approach, or what would be the human thing to do in this situation. I know the technicals will have obviously technical decisions should be influenced by human decisions.
Yeah.
And you get the sense that it was
There's a human element in it. It can't be technical alone.
Yeah.
As I said before, all rescue operations have a risk component. Yes, you have to make an assessment as to the level of risk involved, but I mean, it's 4 lives hanging in the balance.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen. I'll be very, very brief. No rescue. And what you see on television is actually reality, and I'm speaking based on experience, right? But no rescue do you go into an activity without having a plan or understanding the risk. And if it is that you had to follow what Mr. Piper was stately saying yesterday, is that they were unaware of the risk. And one of the key points of that was the inflatable cloth. Although it was stuck inside there, you do not know if the situation would have been imbalanced. And you can't take the word solely of an individual who only go to a portion of the tank to get a proper assessment. Right? So I just want to bring that in terms of bringing balance to the conversation.
So just one question. So then what process or procedure was used to fully ascertain the full level of risk if you can't take the word of one person?
So, hello. Well, I assume that you're referring to Mr. Kerban.
No, I'm talking about generally. From what you've heard, what full steps did the company take or the Coast Guard take to ascertain the full risk level?
Well, the Coast Guard couldn't go inside there because they're not of these specialized expertise.
One.
And when it is that you're making reference to PARIA in terms of the operational, there are 2 things. They can make operational plans, but the whole assessment in terms of the specialists on them, in terms of the Delta P, would have been felt on LMCS. And there's a whole discussion about that. And I think you're mixing the 2 in terms of the roles and responsibilities. Now, Mr. Piper himself, right, would have clearly stated that in terms of him getting the whole balance, because you have to take into consideration persons' experience within the oil industry and him having 40-something years experience, right? And also you have to take into consideration that his decision is not solely made on the persons who are entrapped, but also the persons and them who are going inside there. So he has to make a very hard choice. And that is one of the things that we don't look at in terms of the persons that are given that responsibility. Right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
My thing is, Trinidad is not new. Trinidad and Tobago is not new to the oil industry. Let's start there.
Over 100 years.
Not only that, we are familiar with international partners in that industry. I didn't get any sense, at least I haven't heard anything that indicated a degree of urgency in terms of reaching out to international partners who may have had more hands-on experience with situations like this from all of the international operations to say, how can you assist? I know there is something about
small countries where we believe that we have all of the expertise and we have all of the answers because we have several people in a particular field. And I'm saying you have people with international operations in Trinidad and Tobago who would have probably dealt with situations like this before on a much more ordered and policy-oriented way in how you deal with it, because according to the questioning, they still don't have some sort of policy direction on how you deal specifically with a Delta P situation, according to what Paul said earlier, that they would have said. And I'm just saying that these companies would have had policies and how you deal with situations like that, because they're dealing with an international environment that's more broad in scope. So why weren't they brought into it? In terms of the urgency, and here I'm thinking about the urgency of saving human lives, and how you get those people, how you get that sense of urgency moves. If you have a real sense of urgency, it propels people to think in different ways, is my opinion. But anyway, I'm not an expert in that field, so I don't know. But I just my, opinion on the outside, just looking on. Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. I thought
From what I hear, I'm just astounded as to and I understand there is going to be a sense of panic and chaos at some level under those circumstances. It's certainly not a normal circumstance. I don't think that Paria didn't care. Some people are saying that. I disagree with that. You can't not
I don't
care.
think that either. I don't think
that is true. But I don't think that their response was appropriate and didn't seem to contemplate, well, there was a chance these individuals were alive, so some sort of rescue effort should have been mounted or attempted. Okay? So I'm trying to be very balanced with this. And people are saying, well, they didn't care. That's not true. They cannot care as a human life. They didn't seem to be as organized or have a protocol in place as they should have.
We can still take a call. Is Steve there? Paul? Paul, is Steve there?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay. So we could continue to take some calls. Well, we'll have to wait till Steve gets back.
Well, we have no choice. We have to talk. And if we disappear, Steve is under custody. He probably had an emergency of some time. You like to call TT time on everybody.
Yeah, I thought we got disconnected from the broadcast.
He's not there. His bladder is kind of sketchy, so when nature calls, he has to rush to the facility because we don't want our studio. I mean, Charles has to come in there after, and that could be kind of difficult, and it adjoins the newsroom, so we don't want any industrial accidents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any workplace.
And I understand Derek's point about the line of questioning, but I think the inquiry also is not absent of emotion. It's an emotional. There's a huge emotional component because lives were lost. And the chairman, although some people may think he should not have asked that question, I understand where the question came from. Because it seems that there were technical considerations, and yes, there were life and death considerations also, but I don't, just the fact that I don't know, I know why it doesn't sit with me that way, that none, not even a half an attempt was made to save those lives, and that, to me, I can't accept that. You got through all right, Steve?
But you see, that question that Jerome Lynch, King's Counsel, asked in terms of what if it was your family, goes to
the issue of urgency and the emotional component, because that's a natural question. Would the decisions have been made had it been your family member? I don't see that an invalid question. I just don't. I don't. I'm sorry. It is astounding that no rescue effort was mounted. None. And everybody said, no, don't go in there because it's too dangerous. So what about the lives in there clinging to life? What about the families who want to see at least some attempt being made to rescue their family? And if it was my family, I can't even get words to express how would be that no attempt. And not only that, attempts were prevented by people who were willing to. But if you say you don't want to put X and Y life at risk because you're responsible, there are people who are willing to actually risk their lives and sign away waivers and say, no, I was willing to go in to save somebody. But no attempt? None? Zero? I can't accept that. It's like knowing a building, and it may be an unfair comparison. A building is burning, and there are people trapped inside, and all the fire officers say we're not trying because there's a risk involved that we may die going in there. No, you minimize risk and at least make an attempt, so you can say, well, we attempted, but you didn't attempt at all. There was, and that is seemingly an indisputable fact so far that nobody came and said we tried. Maybe I missed that part.
It makes two of us.
I just can't accept that. I'm sorry. I can't. There's human lives involved, and there will be risk involved, and you try to minimize the risk as much as possible. Was an expedition to dive to see around it if there's any opening, if anything, any mounted a surveillance, a reconnaissance expedition to just not rescue, but to ascertain the situation in a submarine manner. To see a robot with a camera? Anything?
A robot with a camera.
And because sometimes they send robots in because you understand?
They do.
And as Richard said earlier, which is a very good point, they are multinational oil companies with vast resources and experience here that they could have called them. Did they call on them? I don't know. We haven't heard that kind of testimonial. We called them, we collaborated with them, and they also said, no, don't go in. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
So, I ain't buying that. I'm not satisfied at all. It's 8 o'clock. Good morning, Alfred St. Hilbab.
Not here.
Does she like the buff?
Yeah, they're chatting outside.
Now we talk until she comes now so we can see,
Mm-hmm.
There's no 8 to 1 yet, so she could still be on time. It's literally 8 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'm
now saying it's 8. 9, 10. Now, what did they get to 8 to 1? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 8:01. She's officially late now. Richard, I had to postpone my singing for today because the band wasn't ready and our rehearsals were short last night, so I'm doing it on Monday.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Right.
All right.
We just had to pull together the rehearsals late last night, and it was just difficult to give you the best performance this morning. And I don't want to.
On Christmas time, it's difficult to get everybody together.
Yeah, the band is booked heavily, and I just got them for an hour last night to rehearse. So,
all right, let's get into our news.
It's 8:01 though. It's a little late. You sure we can still do it?
Sitting there, how long?
But you mean I'm finally in? I've been sitting here listening to all. I just wanted to tell Paul, morning, bashment.
Yeah, try to reflect as usual, but you're late though.
No, I am not, sir.
Yeah, but we counted down to 8:01 and you were not
No,
there.
auntie, I am not late.
You were not there.
I sat here at 8. I am not late.
No,
While listening to you all continue to chat
Let me just tell Evie
and
something.
enjoy
You have a watch
your
on?
life.
You have a watch?
I have a phone.
Your time on your phone is over.
No,
Again.
the phone is not on.
When you
Let's
get
go
to
to
the
8 o'clock.
pearly gates, you have to answer to these
You know,
inaccuracies.
y'all are making yourselves late.
Could we
What
get
about
into
Chad?
news? Could we get into news?
Look at you.
Morning,
Look at
Evie.
you.
Morning.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
No one was consulted before the life or death decision was